What up, what up, what up? Sorry I'm a few minutes late this morning. Geez, this afternoon. That's the kind of morning it's been. It's the recap lunch hour with me, Ryan McGuffey. I don't come to you with, a ton of excitement. I'm over the top like I normally am. Which, if the guy who I'm about to talk about knew that, he'd be pissed off at me and be like, God damn it, wake up, Guff. But I got to tell you, the legend, my man, our friend, I say our friend because he is all of our friends, White Sox fans, and certainly those who knew him and loved him, those he worked with, he treated like family, certainly treated like me like family. I've been trying not to get emotional about him because I already have today. But I knew he was sick the last few weeks. And, when you find out news like this, it still sucks. But Bill Melton, one of one. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He literally personifies all of that. I think we all have individual stories about him. He was so good at Sox Fest. He was so good at the ballpark. He was so good as an ambassador for the Chicago White Sox. He was a phenomenal baseball player, a home run champion. His stories were the best stories of all time. There was I think I'm a good storyteller. And then I met Bill Melton. That guy is he is the ultimate storyteller. There should be a movie made about him. His story, his journey to the big leagues, his dad taking him to a tryout at the Rose Bowl. It's all unbelievable. And, I dream of Jeannie Barber Eden, how he met her at a bar in Hollywood. And, even how he won the home run title. He went out the night before hard at the lodge, got a phone call. At this point now, all these stories can be told publicly, but he was out all night, got a phone call like, where the hell are you, man? We got a game at noon. Showed up. I think he hit leadoff that day so he can get an extra at bat. Hit the home run. Didn't have much emotion. If you knew Billy, be like, oh, whatever, just got hit the homer and got out of there. Came off the field, acknowledged the crowd. Got interviewed by Brent Musburger. Chuck Garfien, my dear friend, has played that interview multiple times on the White Sox Talk podcast. Now, I think whatever it's called now, the CHSN version. But, I sat down and did one of my favorite interviews ever was like interviewing one of my people, I didn't grow up watching Bill because he was before my time, but I feel like I'd rather know the guy I got to know than the other way around. The man just was the best. Justin, you met Bill. I remember at the table at Sox Fest, Chuck was teaching him what WTF meant and other phrases we use in text. Justin, thanks for sharing that story, man. I could totally see like how that thing would play out, and that's fun. Adrian, hey Guff, might be nothing but coward, is very close to USC. Yeah, I'll get to the Bear stuff in a minute. I'm gonna still talk about my guy here, and if this is Bill with my friend John Shipman and me. We used to take a picture with him on the last day of every season because it was literally the least favorite day of the year. Not just because baseball was over, but because he was leaving us for the summer or for the winter. Lived in Arizona, and this was always a tough day. Was when we would have to take a picture with Bill because he was leaving. Here are my dear friends. I mentioned Ship. That's Sarah. Her and I were glued in the bunker for a million years together, and I love Sarah and Ship. Obviously very much too. So like the four of us were very close with Bill. We went to dinners with him a lot. We went to lunches with him a lot. I know Bill, John, and Sarah sharing their anniversary was the same day as his birthday. That was a very big connection with them. And, for me, Bill was at my wedding and it meant a lot to me. He gave me, if you knew Bill, this was kind of the story. I'll try to leave the expletives out, but when I gave him an invitation to my wedding, you're talking about 16 years ago. I gave it to him and we were getting married in Michigan. He's like, Guff, you're going to make me drive, 2 states away to see something I could have seen right here. And I laughed and I was like, well, no, you don't have to do anything. And when I showed up at the wedding, at the rehearsal, I looked over, I'm like, man, there's a table over there laughing their ass off. They're so loud. And I looked over there and Bill's holding court at my wedding. And I walked over to him and I was like, hey, like I didn't know if you were coming. He's like, what the hell? What do you mean you didn't know if I was coming? You just made me drive 2 states to get over here, So just typical Bill. Like I said, one of one. I really believe that. I have a Sox Fest story, probably from 2002 or 2003, where he had a reserve table when this was at the Hyatt. And, he used to say he drank once a year, and that was the time he would drink. And people were coming up buying drinks for him. And he insisted, if you're buying a drink for him, you're buying a drink for the table. And he was dead serious about that. Appreciate that, Justin. Mo, he knows Mo's part of the family of Bill. Great coworker, more importantly, great guy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, good dude. He'd be pissed I'm shedding a tear for him right now. But just the absolute best. I'll give you one more story. I put this on Twitter not that long ago. Wayne, I'm old enough that I watched Bill play third. He will be missed, no doubt. Pablo, great picks. Thanks for sharing the photos. My wife reminded me of this story this morning. He came to my New Year's Eve party. I had a New Year's Eve party. I think it was 2005, 2004, 2005. I can't remember. He shows up and he's typical Bill, right? Walks into a crowded house, doesn't know most of them, pretends he knows everyone. Within seconds, the entire party gravitates towards him. He for 15 minutes, he, shook hands, kissed babies, said hello. Everybody's, having drinks and it's loud. We're all in our 20s. Bill calls me over and goes, Guff, come here. Go get in the car. Oh, Bill, it's my party. Get in the car. Take me to the liquor store. I said, okay. So we drive to the liquor store. I get to the front. We pull up. He pulls up, puts his hazards on, hands me $200 cash. And I kind of looked at him dumbfounded, like start shaking my head. He goes, go buy beer for the party. And don't fight me on this one. And, yeah, so I did. I went in, I spent every dime of the $200 that I could. And got back. He drove me back to the apartment and he pulls up, puts his hazards on again. He said, get the beer out, take it inside. He goes, but I'm not coming back in. I just want to happy New Year's Eve. And I love you, Guff. And there's just a lot of those stories from people like me and other people I certainly care a lot about, that I worked with for a long time, that Bill worked with for a long time, that most of them 99.9% of them make me laugh. I was looking at our text thread earlier today. And it's full of expletives and just busting balls and ripping each other. And, that's what it was. And then I looked at a text thread from some friends today. And, I'm not going to share who's on these texts, but I'm just going to kind of do one of these to let you know what he meant to a lot of us. Like when you're looking at a text thread and it's just littered with pictures and video clips of Bill, that tells you how special he was to a lot of people in our group. And, Lou's part of that group. Tragically sad day. Look at his Facebook profile. Awesome. Lou updated his Facebook profile to our guy, Bill. And, happy for you and your team. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I know a lot of people, it sometimes sounds very selfish when we talk about like, well, look what we get to do and look who we get to share these things with. But it's sad. Like we become family, and when family takes one on the chin, we take it together. And like I said, Bill would be so pissed right now that I'm probably talking about him this long. Well, God damn it, why aren't you talking about the Bears? No one wants to hear about the White Sox. He's right, and he'd be mad that we're shedding a tear for him. But most importantly, it's a laugh, and like the tears are, it's like don't be sad that it's over, be happy that it happened. And with Bill, that's what I can honestly say. Like, I'm very happy it happened. So, no problem showing my vulnerability on camera. I'll never apologize for it. And yeah. So Bill's our guy. Thank you, Bill. And God damn, thanks for teaching me how to laugh, because that dude is and was the best. His stories are legendary, and they'll definitely keep him they'll definitely keep his spirit alive a lot longer than his body was here, because a lot of us shared in those stories, and a lot of us certainly can become part of the legend now and pass them on to others. So I will turn the Katie. Look at Katie. Katie's helping me out. I will turn the thanks, Katie. I will turn it over to the Bears if you want. I'll answer any questions about baseball. But I just wanted to talk about our guy. And Leitner, sorry I didn't read your comment. I read it and it made me take a moment. So Leitner, also part of that group. Like the true emotion. Thank you, Justin. David, Bill looked like the no nonsense, would tell you how it is. No filter, Uncle Bill kind of guy. Enjoyed his pre and post game. Yeah, you're darn right. And he'd be the uncle at dinner that would make you laugh your ass off, because he'd tell a story that would be inappropriate at the dinner table, and everyone would like look at the mom or the whoever it was supposed to be about. That was Bill. And one more story about my wedding. My uncle came over at one point and his knees were shaking, and I was like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And he was like, "Is that Bill Melton? Is Bill Melton at your wedding?" "Yeah, that's him right over there. Let me take you over there." And he's like, No. I just wanted to make sure he was here. I was like, "No, you got to meet him." He's like, I don't want to interrupt him." I was like, "It's my wedding." And I was like, "You better get your shit together, because if you act like this in front of him, he's going to bust you for it." And I walked over. I was like, "Uncle, this is my Uncle Jack." He's like, "Oh, Jack." He's like, "He's my godfather, my godfather, my Uncle Jack. Hey, Jack, how the hell are you?" He's like, "Oh, I can't believe you came to his wedding." He goes, "I can't believe it either. He made me drive 2 goddamn states over here to get here." And that's, again, just he had this ability to just make you laugh so much. The ball busting when bear season would start, about nobody cares. Yeah, Lou, sorry, I'm just reading the comment now. Why you want me on here? What do you want me to give you a thought after the game? What key? Don't the Bears play at noon? We'll probably have to be on plus. No one's even watching. Wayne, you're okay, Guff. Emotions felt by all. Justin, you can feel the emotion through the screen. You see him every day. Your specialty, love the true emotion. Eli, favorite moment is on the postgame show where he called Frank. Called him. Yeah, that was so good when Frank on speakerphone. I think that was earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. They're in the green room and they dial up Bill on speakerphone, and Bill just unfiltered, as if he's on the postgame show, saying that the White Sox suck, and he doesn't. What did he say? Doesn't suck, but doesn't he always says always says there's better days ahead, just not today if we're talking about the White Sox. So Landon met, Bill at Sox Fest, got his autograph. Back to that Sox Fest story I was telling earlier at the Hyatt. We got so blind that night, and it was like 3 a.m, and we're up in his room, and his only rule was, if you're going to open the mini bar, make sure whatever you take, food or drink, that you finish it, because if you're going to open it, you might as well finish it. I'm paying for this shit. And, at one point I was wearing his sunglasses in the room, and I'm telling a lot of warts and all stories here, but, I was throwing grapes across the room at some of my friends and coworkers. And, you can only imagine some of the things that were coming out of Bill's mouth at that particular point. So, Bill, for all of us who watched you, who loved you, both as fans, certainly as human beings, this one won't work very well, but I'm going to show it anyway. I know I'm still on screen, but this is when we're doing the show called Inside Look, and I'm actually sitting down with him, and I'm interviewing him. And it started out very funny because he was, what the hell are we doing? No one wants, you must be running out of guests if you want to tell my life story. But his life story was awesome. His life story was a Hollywood script. He was so humble. He just didn't really think anybody cared about it. And, couldn't be further from the truth. The dude was just a dude. Compliment on his goatee, said it's because women love it. Who gives a shit what the fellas think? Landon, thanks for sharing that, because that I could totally see. Number 14 patch on the uniform. That would be awesome. It's got to be red, obviously. Last thing I'll say about Bill for now, somebody sent me, my dear friend Danny, who used to be our booker, sent me and Chuck this picture. I have the actual picture. I got to find, because me and Chuck are not looking at the camera, but you could see they did a tribute day for Bill a couple of years ago. I don't know, 6-7 years ago now. They gave those Belton Bill shirts away. So Chuck's got the Belton Bill. the only like literally one of the only jerseys I have that's like a pro jersey is Melton's blue 72 White Sox zip up. And then he's wearing that before he throws first pitch. So, yeah, very special guy for me, Chuck, and a lot of other people. So, Lou, 2 ties, 1 sport coat, 1 pair of slacks. To define what that means, he wore the same sport coat on every pre and post game show. He had 2 different ties to mix them up since we had 3. He was on basically every day. Same pair of khakis. And I think the one day, if I'm not mistaken, Lou knows this, they caught on fire. He had to go replace them because they were sitting on a light and the pants caught on fire. And so he had to go get a new pair of pants. But Wayne, I'm going to take that. Pablo says yes too. I'm going to take that idea. Hopefully the White Sox do honor him because he was an ambassador for the team and he was fantastic. So appreciate you guys letting me go for 15 or 20 minutes right there on my guy Bill Melton. I feel better. It's like therapy, man. Like that's how I treated that right there. It felt good to talk about him. It felt good to cry about him. It's like the Jim Valvano speech. If you laugh, if you cry, if you think, that's a hell of a day. And I feel like by the end of this lunch hour that I'll have done all 3. And so I've accomplished a pretty awesome day. So yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you guys sharing your stories. That's what this is about, man, is that we're all here together. Chuck was going to give him a new pair of pants and set them on a light and they caught fire. That's what it was. Chuck had bought him a new pair of pants, and it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be because they caught on fire. Eli always said he has his microphone always come off. Yeah, no doubt. So okay. So the Bears, they're playing at San Francisco. The winter meeting starts Sunday. We did have a podcast, me and BA and Scott Merkin from MLB.com talking about Garrett Crochet, possibly to the Cubs. Keep the Melton stories coming, guys, because I will definitely keep them in, especially old friends and coworkers of mine. Melton, hey, Mo, your Raiders are as bad as the White Sox. Yep. Melton had a way of he'd come in and throw the biggest zing at you. And you knew it was coming and you'd still be unprepared for it. So no doubt. And he knew all the things that were dear to us individually. He knew everyone's name. Sometimes he only knew last names, but it tells you a lot about a guy when he sees you every day for 6 months and then you don't see him for a couple months a year. Like I said, I looked at our text chain about an hour ago and I laughed my ass off. So, hey, Ryan, did Bill ever share stories about being part of that 71 All-Star game in Detroit? People, do yourself a favor and watch that game on YouTube. He did. It's funny. Bill was so self-deprecating. What the hell am I doing here? And he's like, you're looking around and it's like, really, am I that good? And I'm like, dude, you won a home run crown. And you know who you beat out on the final day of the season? Reggie Jackson. Like, come on, dude. And I think Reggie hit 2 in his final game. Reggie Jackson's final game was on a Saturday. That's when the season was over. And Bill had a game on Sunday, like at noon. And they went out and got absolutely destroyed, I think, at the Lodge. And Bill shows up and is hungover, and his goal is to try to hit a home run. And once it's gone, or once he hits one, if he hits one, he's getting off the field. He was interviewed post game, but he had a flight like a few hours later. That was Bill. It's like, get out of Dodge. David, I'd say this about Bill. If you ever had a question about anything, he'd either not remember it and you'd have to tell him the story. Like, hey, Bill, let me get you to Detroit in 1971. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, yeah. I remember that. And then what happened was, so you had to trigger some of the memory. But that's a great idea, is watch that I love these classic games that are available on YouTube. It's a lot how Chuck and I used to do when we would do the podcast Distant Replay, where we pick a White Sox game, a classic game, watch it, and then we'd all take a note from it and turn it into a podcast. So I did pitch the idea. He may not like the fact that I'm going to take he did just text me, actually. I'm going to see if he I actually said to Chuck, he just texted me. He hasn't been near his phone. He just taped a Melton pod. I look forward to it. Everyone, I know we're doing the recap here, and I have a podcast. Chuck does too. We all know, in a perfect world, we would have just kept on keeping on with our pod. But, he just taped the Melton pod. I look forward to that. I said, I'm happy to have him on I think it'd be a great time to bring Chuck and I back together just to talk about Melton, but it might be Melton drinks, it sounds like. So, happy to do that. And it's, I know a lot of us are taking it a little a little hard today. I know Chuck is, Chuck, it was legit his teammate for a long time. So, yeah, Wayne, I never verified it, but I remember the Sox were playing the Yankees. A player slid hard into third and Bill got into it. I always wanted to write him and ask if he remembers the fight. I guarantee you he did, especially if you give him details. The on-field memories were shaky. The off-the-field, dude, like Lou has been so good. You guys, Lou's a friend of mine. I've known him a long time, 20 years. A great director at NBC Sports Chicago over the years. And but he's right. He could tell you legendary stories and bars attended about some of the off the field stuff. The on-field memories, like I said, you had to kind of get him to the story and then he would tell it. So Justin, I hope they open the ceremony of the Bill Melton video at the convention. When do you think the White Sox? Okay, here we go. Like I feel like, so supposedly Juan Soto is making his decision by Sunday, according to Jeff Passan. And I think, like I was pulling this article up right before we came on. Sounds like Soto could break the all-time record, including Shohei Ohtani's deal. Certainly most money up front. But yeah, Garrett Crochet, here's Passan's report. It was an inside story this morning. As prices on free agent starting pitchers remain high, the trade market for Chicago White Sox left-hander Garrett Crochet is starting to percolate. Chicago let teams know it intends to trade the All-Star this winter with an ARB salary estimated around $3 million. He'll be one of the biggest bargains in baseball. I've been telling Cap this. Okay. His salary in 2026, Crochet's last year, won't be significantly higher, and the White Sox accordingly are carrying a hefty price. A deal could materialize quickly. It could also come together as more free agent pitchers sign. Regardless, it's the sort of trade that can make a team's winter. I think that goes for both of them. What he's telling you, though, is that the White Sox don't have to trade him this week or next week, I should say, at the winter meetings. They could get a feel for what teams are willing to pay. And then when guys like Corbin Burns and Max Fried, we already saw Snell come off the market to go to the Dodgers. So we kind of have a ballpark price on that. Those might inspire teams like those. Either the price of those guys is going to drive teams out and move to the trade market, or they're going to think they're in on the market for those type of guys and lose out and then turn to the White Sox for a guy like Garrett Crochet. I personally am hoping this thing goes down by next week. I think it could absolutely not only make a team's winner that needs Garrett Crochet, it could set the White Sox up the rest of the offseason to build the roster that they want to build for 2025, which, folks, don't expect it to be good. It's going to be very, very, very young. Wayne, pass our sympathy to Chuck. Absolutely. I will. 100%. Appreciate that. Let's get to Bears. People are saying Poles should resign if George handicaps. No. Yeah, I disagree. I'm just asking any of you, if you were in Ryan Poles' situation, let's say, so Rick Hahn was handicapped in some ways to do his job. I mean, Kenny Williams can make trades to two teams without his clearance. There's 30 of these jobs, man. 32 of these jobs in the world. So Ryan Poles, who's built a lot of it his way with the trades, yes, there's a couple draft blinds. Like, they need to address the offensive, defensive lines, but the roster is still trending up. So now you're saying because, well, maybe he doesn't have the final say in head coach, he should resign. Well, then what? Go back to being a league scout? I mean, sometimes you get one crack at this. The idea of the resigning, I like putting the heart, like drawing the line in the sand. I do. I like kind of flexing your muscle a little bit. But come on, resigning. I think a young GM, if you were telling me it was, a GM that's had success, that maybe like John Lynch in San Francisco. He's a former player, Hall of Fame player, has been really good for the 49ers, is a name in the game. That's the type of guy I think could, that's the type of guy that maybe pulls that trick. I just don't see Ryan Poles doing that. What's up, Antonio? Thanks for coming in, man. It was a pretty emotional start with my Bill Melton news. But I appreciate you being here. So a lot of stuff. So, I've been looking, I want you guys to, I've been doing the recap bet of the day, right? So yesterday I gave Oregon -6 at USC. Oregon was trailing at the half. Oregon -6 covers, folks. Hopefully you were in on that. I am 2-1 this week on the picks. I didn't really have a ton of time. I'm thinking about pushing pause on the recap lunch hour today with a pick. I'm leaning Lions -3.5 as my pick. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Rest RIP to our guy. Okay. I think the idea of the hook, there's a lot of guys out for both the Lions and the Packers tonight. Lions are -3.5, or they're actually -3. I'm leaning Lions, folks, is laying that. I know I think the left tackle for the Lions is out. I've been looking up spreads here. The Lions at home this year are 4-2 against the spread. In all games, they are 9-3, which is only second best to Denver, who's 10-3. They're just a damn good football team. And when you look at Green Bay is an away team this year against the spread. They're 2-2. They're fine. I just both teams are coming off of a win, and you have, off of a win, the Green Bay Packers are 4-4 against the spread, and Detroit's 7-3. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead. Let me put this in here now, just so we're all clear. For those who are catching up with us, let me edit this here. We're going to go Detroit -3 tonight. It looks like that's here, -3 and -105 right now. We are year to date. We are now 2-1. Okay. So here, let me get that up there. Here's what we're doing today. Detroit -3. Let's keep it going, folks. Let's keep it going. The Guff's recap bet of the day. One on Monday, lost on Tuesday, one on Wednesday. Let's get this thing to 3-1 and guarantee ourselves a winning week. But I'm going Lions. I'll probably put out a YouTube short later with a little bit more detail of the pick. Shop it around. I know it's 3.5 in a couple books. Watch out for that hook. As we all know, let's get a few more comments. Cap is not coming on today, Justin. This is the recap lunch hour with me. I occasionally have Cap on. A, if he's in the office. B, if it makes sense, if there's a topic. But yeah, that's the answer there. Laz, don't GM contracts specifically say they have final say on the roster? I don't think that's a mandate, by the way, Laz. I don't. I don't think like every contract in football looks exactly the same. And they've been saying Ryan does have control of the roster. Are you running the graphics and show on OBS? I definitely run the graphics. By the way, we didn't start the show. I'll end the show with I got to get this made in print form or in post form. But yeah, I run the show on the graphics. So all of you guys coming on here, that's all me. Do you think the Bears get a post-Eberflus bump against the Niners? Think if we crush them, it makes trading for Kyle more likely. The Kyle thing will play out the way it plays out. I love the idea of trading for Shanahan. I'm okay giving up a 1 for him. I know that's going to be a topic I think we'll bring up later down the line. But do you think the Bears, usually there's a head coach bump. I'm still, until further notice, I still think I'd lay the 3.5 out in San Francisco and take the Niners. It won't be my pick of the day. I'll look at that tomorrow when we do the recap lunch hour. I will make my Bears pick, but it's tough to bet on the Bears, man. Even with the bump, even with the Niners playing terrible, even with the Niners having a ton of injuries. Yeah, so that is that, and that's the recap lunch hour for today. Bubs, I agree with the trade. Most important position on the quarterback is coach, especially in this team. It's the coaching has just been so blatant. So yeah. Anyway, I just want to say one more time for our guy, RIP to the true living legend of all time and as we wrap this thing up, I appreciate my guy. I appreciate our guy, the one and only, the great, the legend, the Bill Melton. That's why I said I've been texting some people back. I've been getting a lot of texts. He was one of one. I truly believe that. He was one of one, and I appreciate him. I'm so lucky that I got to be in his life and he got to be in mine, and I really, really much appreciated. So, I give you everything I got, folks. The good, the bad, and the ugly. 99% of the time, I come in here ready, cheery and wide-eyed and ready to go. But today, I appreciate you guys letting me be vulnerable and share stories about one of my favorite people that I've ever come across. So, with that news, the recap lunch hour with Guff comes to a close for the day. We're laying the 3 on the Lions tonight. Have a great day, Justin. I appreciate you. Bubs, same to you. Lou, great. All the responses, man. All the guys, everybody that I worked with that chimed in today. Love you guys. And we will do this tomorrow. It's been the recap lunch hour with me, Guff, Ryan McGuffey. We will see you tomorrow. Rest in peace to our friend, the legend, Bill Melton.